So a new spell card has just been announced, and I don't really think people are aware of how ridiculously powerful the card is. And it is Piri, Reis map, or whatever, how you're supposed to pronounce this, normal spell card, and it has a few drawbacks, but ultimately, it has a pretty good effect that I personally believe will be completely game-changing. At the start of the main phase 1, search your deck for any monster that has exactly 0 attack, but then you have to halve your life points, so you can kind of see this as a pay 4,000 and then search a monster. Also, you cannot activate effects of cards with the same name as the added card until the end of the next turn after this card resolves, or until you normal summon a monster with that name. If you're playing a deck where you actually have a lot of monsters that are level 1 that have effect on normal summon, this card is really going to be a huge boost for you. Otherwise, I don't think it's going to change too much, and even though it doesn't actually imply once per turn in the card text directly, this card is still a once per turn because it specifically says at the start of the main phase 1, and there is only ever one start of a main phase. It's kind of like Pot of Extravagance. People were like, is this once per turn? It doesn't really read it. Well, again, it's because of the fact that it states at the start of the main phase 1. Like I said, definitely has a couple of drawbacks, but at the end of the day, it's really going to help a lot of decks, and this is exactly what this video today will actually help kind of clarify. So before you start, friendly reminder to like and subscribe. Really motivates me to keep making videos like these, and now let's jump right into it. So the first one is a card that actually was used in Pendulums, especially by my boy Steven, and that is Royal Magical Library. This card is bullshit, but I mean, if the card is searchable, maybe Steven's gonna find a really dumb and crazy way to use it, because you can somehow draw maybe like 3-4 cards sometimes if your hand is the nuts in Pendulums just with Royal Magical Library, and depending on how many other kind of weird gimmicky spell cards that you're playing, honestly I wouldn't even be surprised if you could actually end up drawing 5 cards. Pretty hard though, just with one Royal Magical Library. That would imply that you play freaking 15 spells, and the only deck that really did that easily was Ignite. So I don't know, that was the last time I saw Royal Magical Library legitimately being played in a deck. Next up is a card that I don't think will actually have that much impact in just the overall competitive game, but still could actually help a few players, and that is Galaxy Wizard. So it has a decent effect. It's not an on normal summon effect, but just while it is on the field, you can just tribute it and then search your deck for a Galaxy card. Next up is Jiaotu. This card actually used to kind of be good in Metal Foe. Yeah, Metal Foe's Yang Zing. That was like the best combo deck of 2016. I remember the good old days, man. But yeah, Jiaotu is pretty cool. It's just that Yang Zings are kind of not really relevant right now, but still. Mutant MO5 is another one that is actually kind of cool. The deck just doesn't have a lot of ways to get itself started. Just having 3 extra starters for your Mutant engine is definitely something really cool, because nobody has been able to top or do something really cool or crazy or spicy with the Mutant deck. It getting more support, indirectly even, definitely will make the Mutant players happy. I mean, in a way, it kind of reminds me of how I actually am happy for Cyber Dragons when I get just generic Cyber Dragon support, like Lina, the Light Charmer, the Link 2 version of Vegeta, but for Light. It actually helped Cyber Dragons way more than any card in the Cyber Style Structure deck, but yeah. Anyway, speaking of machines in general, INFINITRACK Harvester. This card searches you for any INFINITRACK monster from your deck to your hand when you normal or special, but just remember that if you want to use the effect of whichever monster that you're searching with the level 1, the spell card, you actually have to normal summon it, or else you have to wait a while, pretty much just 2 full turns, because you have to wait until you end your turn at the end of your opponent's turn, which kind of blows, but yeah. Anyways, still pretty good. Next one would be Dark Beckoning Bees. This card's really good at obviously getting your 1-card engine started with kind of like the Curious combo, the Needle Fiber combo, the continuous spell card. So yeah, definitely really good card. It's the closest thing there is to like a Rogue engine being potentially competitive in the future. Even though I don't think a lot of people really play that engine super seriously, it still shows a lot of promise. Alright, another good one, WIGHTPRINCE. I think there are better normal summons just in general, but I mean, it foolish is for quite a lot of cards, so I'll take that, honestly. I think it's decent. And yeah, WIGHTPRINCE, you can play 3 more copies now if your engine wasn't consistent enough before. Alright, Box of Friends is a pretty funny one, because who's ever considered playing Box of Friends in their deck? Me, actually, because I played Metal Foes, and yeah, you did have to play a break in the form of Vector Pendulum. It's not really that it was a break, because it was still a Metal Foes monster. It's just that it kind of did nothing in a way. It just was a Pendulum skill, and that's it, that's all. It wasn't a really good skill. I think it was a skill 3, so I couldn't Pendulum Stealin and Silvered, but still, Box of Friends is kind of like an equivalent of Rescue Rabbit. In a way, you can normal summon it, and then skill, pop, destroy, summon 2 monsters from your deck. That's pretty good. So again, if you really want to play 6 bucks of friends, at least you can. Jester CONFIT is a card that you could actually search with this and then special summon it, because it is actually not an ignition effect to activate it from the hand, it's just an inherent summon. The spell card only restricts you from using the effects of cards with the same name, but if you're not using the effect and you're just inherent summoning, it should actually work, so that's pretty cool. TRI-BRIGADE NERVALL might actually be one of the most competitive ones, honestly, but at the same time you have to pay 4,000 life points to search a card that, honestly, I mean, it's really good. It's really good, but the thing is, if you're searching this with no grave setup, it's not really doing too much, so I'd rather have a Fractale as a starter than have, you know, the spell card to search me a Nerval as a starter, if you can understand what I'm trying to say, but still a pretty respectable one. Alright, my favorite up until now is Sage with Eyes of Blue. Blue Eyes players are gonna be super happy. So before, Sage was just that random card that you had to actually draw, but now what is really cool is that even if when you draw multiple Sages, it's really not that bad. You can actually activate the spell card in order to search maybe a second Sage, and then you normal summon your Sage, which kind of unlocks the fact that you can use the other Sage, and obviously you search something, use the effect of the Sage in the hand, you summon a Blue Eyes monster from your deck, and you can kind of do a lot. I definitely really like being able to play more Sages in the deck. Helps with consistency, so you can play 3 cards of is it cards of consonants? Yeah, the trade-in, but for very small dragons, and obviously you can definitely play 3 trade-ins in the deck, so more spell cards, definitely better. Alright, any DDD player is going to be pretty happy with this one if DD saving KEPLER is super popular, because this card is also a starter on the summon, searches you for I think any Dark Contract card, and the Dark Contract searches you for another DDD monster, so it used to be a really powerful 1-card engine. Maybe it's going to be the same thing again for Pendulums, where they might actually start teching in a few DDD cards and then some other cards like Magispectre, Bunbuku, and some random BS from the other archetypes if Electrum randomly comes back to 1. I don't think it'll happen. Like I said, people all thought that Electrum would come back in the set that actually brought Metal Foes more support, but at the end of the day, it didn't actually end up realizing itself, so definitely a bummer, but still, you can actually search DD saving KEPLER with the spell card. NUMERON Wall. Now, you can search this card, but you're already playing 20 billion NUMERON networks, so is this really going to be that important? Yeah, you might be thinking, well, being able to search NUMERON Wall isn't really good because you can't use the effect. Well, you can normal summon it and then use the effect, because I think you can actually send it from the hand or field to the graveyard and then activate NUMERON network, so that should work. It's just... really, you already have Planet Pathfinder, so I think it'll just be kind of redundant and won't really help the consistency, but still an option to consider. Alright, now we're getting into probably my favorite part. So KOZMO TINCAN is a gigantic one. 3 more TINCANs in the KOZMO deck is huge, because obviously TINCAN is the best starter for KOZMO, obviously. It's the only KOZMO that actually has an effect to make you go plus, outside of Farm Girl, but that doesn't count because it relies on dealing battle damage, but TINCAN is really proactive, even though it only gets its effect on the end phase. If you're going first, you always have an end phase, whereas if you're going first or second, you don't necessarily have a battle phase. Even if you're going second, you might not have a battle phase that you can use. Maybe your opponent's monsters are just way too big and you can't really deal any damage to them, but a card like TINCAN can never really go wrong, so 3 more TINCANs in your deck, definitely really nice. And again, it's fine if the card is negated until you normal summon it, because it's going to be your normal summon of choice anyways, so I'm definitely cool with that. Probably the biggest searchable card of this entire video would have to be Magician Souls. Now again, a lot of people might be thinking, this is completely irrelevant. Who cares if you can search Magician Souls? You won't be able to special summon it from the hand. Yes, that is actually correct, but there is something that you might have forgotten. There are some decks that are so freaking obsessed and that need Magician Soul so much that it really doesn't matter if you actually have to use up your normal summon on it. And the one deck that actually comes to my mind, ironically, would be Metal Foes, because in that deck, you don't really need that many summons on the field to get yourself started. You really just have to send 2 combinations to draw 2, but most importantly, to search 2 Metal Foes monsters. That's actually the most crucial thing about the card. So if you can get just any other special summon on the field after you normal summon the Magician Souls, that's it, you're good. You actually have the full combo, so so who cares? Alright, another card that you could search is also technically a one-card starter in a way, kind of. It's just not the best one, and I don't think you really want to play this card in your dinosaur deck, and I already spoiled it. It's Animadorned Archosaur. I don't think playing the spell card just to search Animadorned makes any sense, because it is already pretty easy to access, so it's definitely not going to be that meta impactful on that one, but still, again, another option. Prank Kid Fancies. We already have 65 billion starters for Prank Kids, and that deck is already a one-card starter, so don't think people are gonna care. I mean, yeah, same thing with ZOODIAC, RATPIER, you already play 3 Tenki. All the ZOODIAC monsters kind of do the same thing, so are you that desperate for Rat? Unless the card gets unlimited, which will never happen, by the way, unless all the Xyz monsters get banned. Yeah, I don't think Rat is definitely ever going to be searched with this spell card anytime soon. Alright, the 2 final cards that I guess are searchable with the spell card is just I don't think I would recommend them to anyone would be Garbage Lord and Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. Now, Garbage Lord is funny because you have to pay 4,000 life points to use the spell card, and then you have to pay another 2k just to summon Garbage Lord, so how thirsty are you just for one special summon? Yeah, I really don't think you're ever searching Garbage Lord with the spell card. It is still an option though because it doesn't activate itself from the hand, so I guess it is a searchable special summon. Now, Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit kind of almost makes sense because out of every hand trap that you can use, it is the one hand trap that actually has an effect on the field, because unlike the other ones, you can actually send Ghost Ogre from your field to the graveyard to destroy your opponent's card when they're trying to use something on the field or something, whatever. So I guess Ghost Ogre could kind of work. Is it really worth it? It's up to you to decide. But anyways, my goal was for today was just to show you 20 cards that could actually benefit off of this card. If you guys have any other kind of recommendations or ideas, please let me know in the comment section below. Of course, don't forget to like and subscribe. It motivates me so much to keep making videos like these, and I will see you next time. Peace.